This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Monday, September 22nd, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
An emotional farewell to Charlie Kirk, along with some anger. I'm Steve Futterman in Glendale, Arizona.
With a possible government shutdown looming at the end of the month, Democrats are demanding a meeting with President Trump on the budget. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
A gunman opens fire during a wedding at a country club in Nashua, New Hampshire, killing one person and wounding two others. I'm Julie Walker.
President Trump says he's speaking with Afghan leaders about the future of Bagram. I'm Clayton Neville.
On Wall Street, the major averages all open at fresh record highs this morning for the first day of fall trading. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
President Donald Trump has announced that the U.S. will start selling a Trump Gold Card Visa. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Charlie Kirk's memorial service on Sunday was a 5-hour remembrance of his life's work with eulogies that included his wife and President Trump, who said the gun was pointed at Kirk, but the bullet was aimed at all of us. Steve Futterman reports from the memorial site in Glendale, Arizona.
Tens of thousands filled State Farm Stadium, and they got there early. Some began showing up shortly after midnight. By 5 a.m., people were parking their cars a mile or more away, then walking, like this woman.
It's time to rise up.
How have you been impacted by his death?
Horribly. Yeah, I think kind of many people are grieving. You know, that didn't even know him, they're grieving.
Inside the stadium, the event began with bagpipes. But the spotlight during the more than 5-hour event was on the speeches. President Trump was the biggest name, but the most emotional speech came from Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica. She talked about forgiveness, even for the man accused of killing her husband.
On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." I forgive him.
In his speech, Trump's tone wasn't quite as generous. He said Charlie Kirk was killed because he spoke for freedom and justice.
He's a martyr now for American freedom. I know I speak for everyone here today when I say that none of us will ever forget Charlie Kirk, and neither now will history.
The most aggressive speech of the day came from Trump's Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller.
Those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing.
Many talked about Kirk's death mobilizing the causes he promoted. Vice President Vance told those gathered that the devil overplayed his hand. I'm Steve Futterman in Glendale, Arizona.
The federal government is set to partially shut down at the end of the month if Congress cannot get together on a temporary funding plan, and Democrats say they want to meet with President Trump to discuss a way forward. John Stolnis has more from Washington.
Last week, Republicans in the House passed what Democrats say is a partisan bill that had no chance of passing the Senate. On Friday, they were proven correct as senators failed to pass that measure. Now, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer are demanding to meet with the president to negotiate an end to what they say is Trump's decision to shut the government down on September 30th. Schumer on CNN State of the Union Sunday.
The Republican bill is a totally partisan bill with zero input from Democrats, and that's not how to get things done. We had two bills on the floor Friday. Both failed, the Democratic bill and the Republican bill, and that's because there has been no negotiation with the Republicans.
Trump said he's open to meeting with leadership, but said Friday he, quote, doesn't think it's going to have any impact. After the measure failed to pass the Senate on Friday, Democrat Patty Murray said Republicans are not even engaging in talks with Democrats.
To my Republican colleagues, inaction is not an option. If you want Democratic votes, you need to work with us. Compromise is a very basic principle every American understands. And if Republicans don't bother working with Democrats just because Donald Trump said so, it will be a Republican shutdown.
At the center of the budget disagreement is Democrats' desire to preserve health care programs that would enhance certain subsidies that are due to end soon, as well as reversing Medicaid cuts that were included in the Big Beautiful Bill passed earlier this year. Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune said it's not true to say Republicans won't negotiate.
The Democrats seem more intent, as has been pointed out, in satisfying, I think, their very leftist base who is desperately wanting to see a government shutdown because they think it's politically advantageous to do that.
The most likely course would be a short-term continuing resolution to work out differences over the health care issues. It's unclear if and when any meeting with Democrats and President Trump will take place. John Stolnis, Washington.
When we return on America in the Morning, taking back control of a former U.S. Air Force base. After these messages. America in the Morning continues. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
It is the first day of fall, and we are looking at some activity over the Great Lakes southward to the Mississippi Valley. We'll have widespread showers and thunderstorms from Wisconsin and Michigan, southward through Illinois to Ohio, and then continuing into Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Louisiana. A few of the storms will have some gusty winds with them, but the main concern will be the heavier rain. And while this rainfall can be disruptive, it will be moving into areas that are currently in significant shortages of rainfall in the last month. These storms will eventually move eastward, also spreading into places in the east that are in need of rain. Another system moving out of the central Rockies into the plains will fire up thunderstorms this afternoon from eastern Colorado into Nebraska. These storms will have the potential for damaging winds, hail, heavy rain, and even a tornado. The risk for this storm activity will also expand into Iowa late in the day. Heavy rain will also continue to build into southern Kansas, into Oklahoma, southern Missouri, and northern Arkansas at night. And then farther south across the rest of Texas, it's going to be a largely dry day with sunshine. There'll be some scattered afternoon thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast, but it's going to be hot again with some record-challenging highs in the 90s and 100s. Another area of heavy thunderstorms will be across South Florida, where there have been storms throughout the month. Miami has had nearly 15 inches of rain so far this month, well above the historical average. And afternoon scattered thunderstorms will also encompass a large area from Arizona into New Mexico northward to Wyoming. That's the weather across America. Lubbock, Texas will have a scorcher of a day with plenty of sunshine and a record-breaking high of 99. Springfield, Massachusetts will also have plenty of sunshine, but not quite as hot with a high of 74. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Police have arrested and charged a man following a deadly New Hampshire country club shooting over the weekend. Correspondent Julie Walker reports the suspect allegedly shouted, "Free Palestine," when he opened fire.
A gunman opens fire during a wedding at a country club in Nashua, New Hampshire, Saturday, killing one person and wounding two others. Authorities say 23-year-old Hunter Nadeau is under arrest. The wedding DJ says someone hit him over the head with a chair, slowing him down.
We didn't know. We thought it was balloons maybe popped because we were at a wedding, but we didn't see any. We didn't see any balloons. Next thing we know, we're looking for family members to make sure they're safe. Do the old active shooting stuff, drop and get out of the way.
Wedding guest Tom Bartleson says it was chaos.
We heard about 6 shots and everybody ducked for cover, and next thing we know, we're rushed into safe spots.
Officials say the shooting victim was 59-year-old Robert DeCesar, and there is no known connection with the shooter. Bartleson says the gunman did say something.
He said the children are safe and free Palestine.
Investigators say it's too soon to determine a motive. I'm Julie Walker.
Taliban leaders are responding to the idea of Bagram Air Force Base being returned to U.S. control. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports on the terrorist group's response.
4 years after the chaotic and deadly U.S. withdrawal from Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan, directed by the Biden administration, President Trump is floating the idea of taking the base back. Over the weekend, the president told reporters that talks are happening now. He said the U.S. wants the base back and insisted, quote, if they don't do it, you're going to find out what I'm going to do.
We'll see what happens with Bagram. We're talking to Afghanistan. It should have never been given up. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. There was no reason to give it up. I was leaving Afghanistan. I was leaving. I was the one that got it down to 5,000 soldiers, but we were going to keep Bagram.
The chief of staff of the Afghan Ministry of Defense said it's not possible to negotiate over even 1 inch of Afghanistan soil. I'm Clayton Neville.
When we return, Trump says deal approved over the sale of TikTok from China. When America in the Morning returns after these messages. This is America in the Morning. We say goodbye to summer on our Monday Business Report. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning for the first day of fall trading with the major averages all at record highs. Last week was a winning week for stocks. Year to date, let's look at where the markets are this morning. The Dow up 8%. The S&P 500 index is up 13%, and the Nasdaq is up 17% so far this year. Investors are waiting for the latest on inflation coming in the PCE report on personal consumption expenditures this Friday. Also this week, we get some August home sales numbers, a fresh read on the real estate business. The Fed cut interest rates last week, and mortgage rates went up. The Fed controls short-term rates. Mortgages are long-term loans. President Trump and China's President Xi held a high-stakes call over whether TikTok would come under U.S. control. The Chinese video app sits on the phones of half the U.S. adult population. It's been banned by Congress as a national security risk, but President Trump has been extending the deadline to ban it. CNBC's Eamon Javers in Washington.
President Trump is talking TikTok in the Oval Office. He says that he and Xi Jinping did approve a deal to transfer TikTok to U.S. investors. He also says the deal is not closed.
I had a great call with President Xi, and as you know, he approved the TikTok deal, and we look forward to getting that deal closed. I guess there could be a formality. I found his word to be very good. The TikTok deal is well on its way.
A take on this from Heyman Capital's Kyle Bass on CNBC.
The fact that this deal is not fully announced yet, I mean, it's worth at least $50 billion. And if she is willing to just let it go dark, as opposed to receiving $50 billion, it's the biggest poker tell of all time as to what the intent for China's ownership of the algorithm originally was and currently still is.
Walmart's online marketplace has boomed, and with the growth came some identity theft and fake products. A CNBC investigation found that Walmart made its seller and product vetting more lax in a bid to compete with Amazon, and that invited trouble.
Amazon got a lot stricter, it banned a lot of sellers, and made it a lot harder to sell name brand goods. And so these sellers were looking for a new place to go, and Walmart, eager to expand, made it easier for them to get in the door. So a lot of the products that we found in this investigation are health and beauty products, things that go on our face, counterfeit supplements. We spoke with a customer who purchased counterfeit brain supplements from Walmart. And if someone's injured from that, that can open up a lot of liability.
CNBC's Gabrielle Fon-Rouge. The whole investigation is at CNBC.com. Watch Apple shares today. They popped on Friday as lines formed for the iPhone 17 at stores around the world. On today's watch list, the Google ad tech antitrust remedies trial begins in Washington.
One will be following here. Thank you, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, hundreds of immigration arrests in Chicago after these messages. The ramped-up immigration operations that started last week in Chicago has led to hundreds of arrests. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
Immigration enforcement officials have arrested more than 400 people as part of an operation in the Chicago area. ICE launched what it calls its Midway Blitz in Chicago more than a week ago. The operation has brought allegations of excessive force and heavy-handed dragnets. ICE's Marcos Charles tells the AP roughly 50 to 60% of the Chicago operation arrests were targeted, meaning they were specific people that ICE was trying to find.
We have a lot of targets in the area, and we want to make sure that we can arrest as many of those as possible to get them out of the community and keep them from being a danger to the community.
The arrests are often referred to as collateral arrests. People ICE often comes across who aren't the person they're looking for, but are in the country illegally. Charles says there is no end in sight in Chicago until they feel they've been successful. I'm Ed Donahue.
Want to be an American? Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports on President Trump's new Gold Card visa offering for non-U.S. citizens, but it comes with a hefty price tag.
President Donald Trump has announced that the U.S. will start selling a Trump Gold Card visa with a potential pathway to U.S. citizenship. The card will be available for a processing fee and a $1 million contribution after vetting. For companies, it will cost $2 million. The Trump Platinum Card, meanwhile, will be available for a $5 million contribution and will allow foreigners to spend up to 270 days in the U.S. without being subject to U.S. taxes on non-U.S. income. Trump announced a $5 million gold card in February to replace an existing investor visa. That will now be the Platinum Card. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
America in the Morning for Monday, September 22nd, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Saying goodbye to Charlie Kirk.
Charlie lived what our founders envisioned.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Indianapolis police had a very busy weekend with multiple shootings across the city. I'm Katie Clark with the details.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s vaccine advisors have changed their COVID shot guidance. I'm Ed Donahue.
Meeting of the UN General Assembly, and a new California law could impact how ICE does its job.
Jerry from Ben & Jerry's has quit the ice cream brand after 47 years. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Small American farmers struggling with new challenges get help from the music industry. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. With the national forecast on America in the Morning, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Even though it is the first day of fall, we still have some severe weather risks with a storm moving out of the central Rockies into the plains. That'll fire up thunderstorms this afternoon from eastern Colorado into Nebraska, Kansas, and southward to North Texas. These storms will have the potential for damaging winds, hail, heavy rain, and even a tornado. And the risk for heavier storms will expand into Iowa late in the day. Heavy rain will also continue to build into southern Kansas, into Oklahoma, southern Missouri, and northern Arkansas at night. The rest of Texas will be largely dry with sunshine. There could be some scattered afternoon thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast, but it's going to be hot again overall with record-challenging highs in the 90s and 100s. Another area of heavier thunderstorms will be across southern Florida. That could cause some localized flash flooding. Additional scattered afternoon thunderstorms will also encompass a large area from Arizona into New Mexico, northward to parts of Utah, central Colorado, and Wyoming. Meanwhile, there is a broad storm centered over the Great Lakes southward to the Mississippi Valley. This will lead to widespread showers and thunderstorms from Wisconsin and Michigan, southward through Illinois to Ohio, and continuing to Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Louisiana. A few of these storms will have gusty winds with them, but the main concern will be heavier rain. And while this rainfall could disrupt plans, it is moving into areas that are currently in a significant shortage of rainfall in the last month. Most of the other East Coast states will remain dry today with some sunshine and highs in the 70s and 80s, and then warming into the 90s in parts of Georgia and South Carolina. And dry weather will also cover most of the western states with highs mostly in the 70s in the northwest to 90s and 100s in the southwest. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Tens of thousands of people gathered for a memorial service in Arizona Sunday to honor the life of conservative activist and Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, who was shot and killed while debating students on the Utah Valley University campus earlier this month. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Around 95,000 people, to include an overflow area, gathered for Charlie Kirk's public memorial at State Farm Stadium outside Phoenix. Like Kirk's foundation and the messages he preached, faith in Christianity had a strong presence throughout the ceremony. President Trump gave remarks.
Charles James Kirk was heinously murdered by a radicalized, cold-blooded monster for speaking the truth that was in his heart. He was violently killed because he spoke for freedom and justice, for God and country, for reason and for common sense.
Other speakers included high-profile names in the Trump administration, like Vice President J.D. Vance.
He transformed the face of conservatism in our own time.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio honored Kirk.
Time and again, he sought to engage those he disagreed with because he understood that we were not created to isolate ourselves from one another, but to engage.
So did HHS Secretary RFK Jr.
He always gave the biggest microphone to the people who were most passionately aligned against him.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard paid tribute.
Charlie lived what our founders envisioned: freedom.
The memorial service focused heavily on Kirk's spiritual life and his role as a dad and husband. His wife Erica gave an emotional speech.
I saw the wound that ended his life. I felt everything you would expect to feel. I felt shock. I felt horror and a level of heartache that I didn't even know existed.
The service brought a number of musical performances and other tributes in front of the crowd. Charlie Kirk was 31 years old. I'm Clayton Neville.
This will be a big week in New York City for the United Nations General Assembly, which will include a sideline meeting between President Trump and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky. Trump will address the assembly Tuesday. Also on the UN agenda, more countries, including Canada and the UK, plan on recognizing a Palestinian state, which has drawn angry responses from both Israel and the U.S. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says the UK is formally recognizing a Palestinian state, despite strong opposition from the US and Israel.
In the face of the growing horror in the Middle East, we are acting to keep alive the possibility of peace and a two-state solution. That means a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable Palestinian state.
Starmer's announcement follows those from Canada and Australia. More than 140 countries already have recognized a Palestinian state, and more, including France, are expected to do so at the UN General Assembly this week.
Let's be frank. Hamas is a brutal terror organization. Our call for a genuine two-state solution is the exact opposite of their hateful vision.
Canada, Australia, and the UK have joined some 140 other countries in recognizing a Palestinian state. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Sunday that those countries are giving a huge prize to terrorism and that it will not happen. He says there will be no Palestine state west of the Jordan.
Is there any use at all in pressuring Israel now to come to some sort of longer-term solution?
Well, you could make the case that you're rewarding people, that, you're rewarding Hamas if you do that. And I don't think they should be rewarded. So I'm not in that camp, to be honest. We'll let you know where we are, but I am not in that camp.
Mr. President,
because if you do that, you really are rewarding Hamas. And I'm not about to do that.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer said on Sunday that a two-state solution would possibly bring peace.
Ordinary people, Israeli and Palestinian, deserve to live in peace, to try to rebuild their lives free from violence and suffering.
More countries are expected to recognize a Palestinian state at this week's UN General Assembly. I'm Donna Warder.
California Governor Gavin Newsom signed into law a measure that forces almost all law enforcement officers to not wear masks during operations. Correspondent Julie Walker reports that this would include ICE agents, but there are questions as to whether the new Golden State rule can be enforced on federal authorities.
California will be the first state to ban most law enforcement officers from covering their faces while conducting official business. Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom signed the measure into law. It prohibits neck gaiters, ski masks, and other facial coverings for local and federal officers, including ICE agents, with some exceptions.
These masked men had no identification. These masked men did not provide any information, name, badge number, hidden from accountability, any transparency, any oversight. That's Trump's America, but it is not the America we've grown up in. And so we're pushing back against this.
It's a direct response to recent immigration raids in L.A. where federal agents covered their faces while making arrests.
The impact of these policies all across this city, our state, and nation are terrifying. It's like a dystopian sci-fi movie.
However, critics say California doesn't have authority over federal agents and could endanger local officers. Newsom also signed measures to limit immigration agents from entering schools and healthcare facilities without a warrant. I'm Julie Walker.
When we return on America in the Morning, a rocky road for Ben and Jerry after these messages. Gunfire erupts across Indianapolis, Indiana over the weekend, which included a mass shooting and a triple shooting, and more than a dozen people shot in just 24 hours. Katie Clark reports police are still hunting for some of the shooters.
Over the weekend, police in Indianapolis reported multiple locations across the city where people were shot, including one with multiple fatalities. In total, 15 people were shot within a 24-hour period. In one incident, 3 people were wounded. One person of interest was detained. Not too far away from that location, a mass shooting in a parking lot occurred where 7 people were shot and 2 died of their injuries. In one scene, police officers were called to a fast food restaurant where a man was threatening the workers with a gun. Officers were able to get the man in custody and no one was hurt. 2 juveniles were arrested after a shooting near a hospital. Sergeant William Young from the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department speaking on WTHR TV Indianapolis.
This is certainly heartbreaking. Obviously, you know that we've had a busy night. Our Metro officers have been extremely busy, and we're doing everything that we can to hold those accountable.
Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Chief Chris Bailey commented on the violence, saying that his heart was very heavy after the violence in the community and that officers and detectives are working nonstop to find those responsible and hold them accountable. Police are asking for the public's help with any knowledge of the crimes. I'm Katie Clark.
The man suspected of opening fire outside a Sacramento TV news station was taken back into custody Sunday by the FBI, the same day of his release from the Sacramento County Jail. Authorities say Anibal Hernandez Santana was arrested shortly after allegedly targeting the building housing KXTV. The 64-year-old was released the next day, only to have the FBI waiting for him. He now faces multiple federal charges, including assault with a deadly weapon. KXTV is owned by Tenga, a national chain of TV stations. America in the Morning continues. The CDC has announced a new COVID-19 vaccine guidance. Correspondent Ed Donahue has details.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s vaccine advisors have changed their COVID shot guidance. They have declined to recommend the shot to anyone, leaving it up to people who want it. Vaccinations have been recommended as a routine step in the fall, just like the flu shot. But new advisors like Retsef Levy want the CDC to adopt stronger language around claims of vaccine risks.
I think that
I hope that we all can agree that there is a problem here.
The FDA has already placed new restrictions on this year's shots from Pfizer, Moderna, and Novavax, reserving them for people over 65 or younger ones who are deemed at higher risk. Dr. Henry Bernstein at Hofstra University is worried what could happen next.
When vaccine coverage decreases because of loss of confidence, outbreaks happen.
The panel narrowly avoided urging states to require a prescription for the shot. I'm Ed Donahue.
The co-founder of a popular ice cream brand is stepping down. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports on a disagreement that led to his departure.
Co-founder Jerry Greenfield says that the independence the company once had to speak up on social issues has been stifled by its parent company, Unilever. That's according to a letter that co-founder Ben Cohen posted on social media on Greenfield's behalf. Greenfield said that the loss of independence was coming at a time when our country's current administration is attacking civil rights, voting rights, the rights of immigrants, women, and the LGBTQ community. Ben & Jerry's has been at odds with Unilever for a while. In March, Ben & Jerry's said its CEO was unlawfully removed in retaliation for the ice cream maker's social and political activism. In a federal court filing, Ben & Jerry's said that violated its merger agreement with Unilever. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Mark Zuckerberg has finally unveiled the next big thing in wearable computing, the Meta Wayfarer Gen 2 glasses. Taking a look, here's America in the Morning tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
Meta finally dropped the specs on their new specs, the Wayfarer Gen 2. Mark Zuckerberg made the announcement at MetaConnect 2025, where he unveiled the upgraded shades alongside other eyewear goodies like Oakley's Meta Vanguard. The MetaConnect conference is their big annual shindig for all things AR, VR, and AI. The Meta Wayfarer Gen 2 has double the battery, 3K cameras, and smarter AI, and right in the middle of the buzz about contextual computing. Despite an unfortunate misstep blamed on some bad Wi-Fi, these were clearly the stars of the show and a big upgrade from the 2023 originals. Not to be outdone, Apple's Vision Pro 2 is gearing up for a 2025 launch with a possible M5 chip upgrade, realistic personas, and Jupyter environments for more lifelike photo depth. Welcome to the year of wearables. Find me on X at Chuck Palm.
America in the Morning continues with Monday Sports. Here's Robert Workman.
NFL Sunday, two matchups of unbeatens, and both were dandies. The Eagles rallied from down 19 in the third quarter to dodge the Rams 33-26. Jalen Hurts fired 3 second-half TD passes, and Philly blocked 2 LA field goals late, returning the latter 61 yards for a game-ending touchdown. The 49ers blew a fourth-quarter lead, but rallied past the Cardinals 16-15 on Eddie Piñeiro's field goal as time expired. Buccaneers are 3-0. Chase McLaughlin's field goal at the gun boosted them past the Jets 29-27. The Browns got a last-second field goal as they came back to beat the Packers 13-10. That's Cleveland's first win and Green Bay's first loss. Bears barreled over the Cowboys 31-14, 4 scoring passes for Caleb Williams to give Ben Johnson his first win as a head coach.
Yeah, it'll be fun for tonight. And then we're on to the next one. We're behind the 8 ball here. We're 1-2, and we got to get back to 500 here.
Colts trampled the Titans to improve to 3-0. Seahawks stormed past the Saints. Chiefs topped the Giants last night for their first win. Jaguars got by the Texans. Houston one of 6 teams at 0-3. Wins for the Vikings, Steelers, Commanders, Panthers, and Chargers. Tonight it's the Lions at the Ravens. 1 week left in the baseball regular season, and the first American League playoff team is finally in place. The Blue Jays beat the Royals 8-5, becoming the first AL team to 90 wins this year. The scorching hot Mariners are not far behind. They smashed the Astros last night, their 14th win in 15 games. J.P. Crawford with a grand slam. Cal Raleigh hit his league-leading 58th home run. Braves handed the Tigers their 6th straight loss. Detroit's lead down to 1 game over Cleveland in the Central. Twins ended the Guardians' 10-game winning streak. In the National League, 4 playoff teams are set, and all of them lost yesterday. Dodgers fell to the Giants. Brewers lost to the Cardinals. Reds blanked the Cubs to move into the final NL wildcard slot, and the Diamondbacks drubbed the Phillies. That's Monday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, lifeless body found. Questions surround a popular rapper after these messages. A popular rapper is canceling concerts after news reports of a body of a dead teenager being found in his car. Lisa Dwyer reports.
The last two remaining dates in singer David's U.S. tour and multiple stops in his upcoming European tour have been removed from ticketing websites. That development comes as authorities continue to investigate the discovery of a decomposed body of a teenage girl in Los Angeles found inside an impounded Tesla. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was 13 years old when she was reported missing in April 2024. Several news outlets have reported that the vehicle is registered to the singer, while police have not yet confirmed that. David's scheduled performance in San Francisco and his last U.S. tour stop in Los Angeles are now both marked as canceled on Ticketmaster. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
It's been a tough year so far for farmers, but they got help over the weekend from an annual concert that included the legendary Willie Nelson. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has more.
It's been 40 years since musicians and artists got together to help the small American farmer with Farm Aid.
Live for Farm Aid and a concert for America, here's Willie Nelson.
Farm Aid began in 1985 when Willie Nelson, Neil Young, and John Mellencamp organized a benefit concert to help small family farms, which were bending under the pressure of corporate farming.
Farm Aid is turning 40 this year, and we're still here, and we're standing strong with the family farmers.
40 years later, the event is still happening, taking place this past Saturday in Minneapolis. Some of the performers included Margot Price, Bob Dylan, Dave Matthews, Tim Reynolds, and of course, Mellencamp, Young, and Nelson.
But you were always on my mind.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was in attendance, as was Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. Although she did not attend, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar posted a video message with her support for the organization.
I love Farm Aid. I love how these national and local stars have come together to stand up for rural America.
Today, American farmers are facing fresh challenges. Tariffs and international trade disputes threaten a loss of customers, and freezes on federal funding are affecting their ability to stay afloat. Nelson told CNN this weekend that he had hoped the need for Farm Aid would have ended years ago.
I believed in it so much that I thought we would knock it out in a little while, But obviously there's a few things in the way.
I'm Kevin Carr.
America in the Morning for Monday, September 22nd, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.